Now, how good is that by Clevedon Steam? Find them online. Just type in Clevedon Steam. Ordered yesterday afternoon, arrived today. I need to check whether what I ordered I got right. And that looks to me to be spot on the right thing. Just to note, the seller of this sold this with the gas sealed and had repaired something that was a gas leak there with the solder. And the failure of the valve was probably due to me forcing or putting gas into it. It's blown past the rubber seal. So it wasn't sold with a fault on it. It's just a fault that developed pretty quickly in my hands. Anyway, let's see if this solves the issue. I fabricated this screwdriver for a particular, I can't remember now. I may have to grind down a little bit more in order to use it to turn this into the slot. I'll see how well it goes. But that's an easy enough thing to make. You'll have plenty of screwdrivers lying about. Fabricating something which will fit into the slots of the valve to put it in is going to be an easy job for you guys if you're watching this video. Okay, I've just done the naked flame test. The first time I did the test, I didn't film it. The flames were shooting out from the side. I've just tweaked this in a bit further and that has stopped. Getting the O-ring seated is an art. Right, because it's not an issue. Okay, I've done quite a lot of things with O-rings and with PTFE and the sort of bleed valves that you get in radiators. A common thing that I found, even from plumbers, is over-tightened things for seals. Even stopcocks, that's what you call them, isn't it? It's taps. Anyway, if they're over-tightened, they can just seize up and hold on. But it also damages the washer that's in there. Now, the first time I tried this, it wasn't perhaps tight enough, or it hadn't distorted the O-ring enough to overcome the irregularities between the brass top of this container, which is cold at the moment, and the edges of the valve. And therefore it was a matter of just twisting it. So I wasn't trying to tighten it, I was just trying to get it to a position where the O-ring was sealing. And at the moment that is full of the tank is cold, it's full of gas. Oh, was that? Oh, hold on. No, it would light if there's anything leaking. Ah. Oh. Oh, unfortunately, there is still something leaking from the side. Okay. Don't want to get it hot, otherwise it will completely destroy the O-ring. Don't have to search through my box of 1,000 O-rings, of which none on the right side. It's still leaking. Guys, I need to go back and adjust that now to seal it. Right, so the issue in terms of sealing is to try and get a nice surface here for the O-ring to seat up against. Well, around there could seal. You could put thread seal tape on it, but there's not a lot of thread to seal. It's only millimetre or 2 millimeters. Well, you can see the thickness there. It's not very thick brass. So really, I think cleaning up the top surface of the tank is perhaps the way to go. Trying to think of anything else that would help create a seal. Rubber O-ring. No, let's have a go at that. Let's just try and clean that up a bit so that it's got a good surface to mate against. So I'm using the water bubble test this time. I think there is a soap type. I think if you use fairy liquid, that is quite good. I'm just putting water on with this pipette, and I'm not getting any leaks that I can see or hear. And might as well do the flame test as well. Right, that sounds good. That lets the gas out that way. Okay, so cleaning up the surface underneath where the O-ring seats, and just, it's not tightly screwed in. You can see that the O-ring is displaced a little there. I'll get in focus, but not over tightened. And that seems to have done the trick on this bit. Onwards to the next stages. I wonder if while I've got it all apart, I might just see if I've got a spare receiver and servo I can put on there with a linkage I can make for the gas control valve. That might look quite nice. But yeah, pleased with it being able to do that. And let's just give a call out again to Clevedon Steam. Jerry at Clevedon Steam, extremely helpful, and was able to provide me with the bit I needed in very quick time. Right, it's up to pressure because it's just blowing off from the little pressure gauge there. Let's open some steam. Roll it to get rid of the water. Displace the water. Oh, it's windy, you see. So oh, it's almost there. And the truck at the back isn't on properly. Oh, I can feel it wanting to pull away there. Yeah, it's wanting to go, wasn't it? Let's get the truck on at the back. It's having a go, isn't it? Having a try. Truck on at the back. There we go. Well, there we go. Crank up the gas to try and maintain the pressure. I don't know if opening the steam valve anymore is going to help with anything. Okay, so not running away with itself. So the next thing that I plan to do is to strip down the pistons. It's clearly got a little bit of leak from around there, and see a bit of water dripping out from that piston, a bit of water leaking from that piston. So the packing valve and some of the seals, the packing gland, packing thing, whatever, around the piston rod. Oh well, there it goes, backwards. It's about the same forwards and backwards. It just runs a bit and then stops. This is the level bit of track. So it looks as though the slip eccentric does work to a certain extent. Yeah. But we are pushed it a fraction forward, and the letting it. Well, you can see a little bit of leaking from the seal on the relief valve. The gauge isn't showing much. It barely moves off zero, and it was probably about the right pressure. I don't know if I could seal up that other thing. let's pause that. Well, that has allowed me to see some other things to look at. Water dripping out the cylinders there, so I can strip those down and look at the condition. Hunt around to see what washers and seals and O-rings I've got. There's a leak down here, so that fibre washer could probably do with being replaced under there. What I might do, that's been rather difficult to see, so I'll check the seal on that some more. If I have any problems, I might glue a small washer onto the top of the gas tank. Not solder it, because it's not trying to seal the tank at all, and there's enough thread on the valve. But the washer might be a better surface for the O-ring to glue on to seal around, and not be quite so critical as to exactly where it is and what tension it's built to. But there we go, it is halfway there. Should we call it halfway there? It's a breezy day, chill wind. That's a large boiler, that's a lot of water to heat. Well, the boiler runs to somewhere about there. It's quite a large boiler, but I think it's got quite a large fire tube. So once the fire tube in there, the volume of water isn't that huge, but that's a lot of surface area of an unlagged, highly conductive tube of metal, and then the breeze is just coming straight at it, so that doesn't help maintain the pressure or maintain the, it cools the water down. You're fighting against that cooling effect with the gas. Let's actually turn the gas off, although it's run out, and that can go back for further maintenance work. But that's it as far as I've got, and it'll have to wait now until I get time to strip it down. I'm just learning a little bit more about this loco. It's rather a fine day, and so it might be opportune to even give it a steam. But the rear part of the metalwork was loose, and I've worked out that's because the screws underneath here, these two screws which hold the bodywork, this rear part of the, it's in two parts, hold it on, have stripped in the metal. It's only thin metal, and so it's, well, I pushed it all back and the screws are holding in place, but if you pull hard it comes loose. I thought, well, I'll undo the screws at the front, which are these two, so I've taken these out and removed the coupling, but of course the gas tank, which you can see is the brass thing down here, is inside that side pannier, and so you can't remove it without removing a gas connection inside there. I don't want to do that. On this side, clearly there's, well, I'm going to guess there's a battery in there, and that's the charging port for the battery, and this switch will be for charge. It's a three-way switch, off and run, probably, because at some point somebody's attempted to put remote control into it. So there may be room in there for a receiver. I don't know, we can investigate that later. I was told that this had timing issues. Well, this has obviously been repaired at various times. What I can see is a nut and bolt put through here, whereas that's just a small set screw that's through there. Not sure about that one. On this side, we've got two, what look, brass coloured washers either side of the push rod. On that side, the rod is quite bent. It's not focusing there. and there are no washers. No, who knows? Oh, as you can see here, the tyres are very worn. So it's had a fair bit of use. So this loco has had a fair bit of use. This bent brass section at the back looks like a rear section repair. Looks like something that's been fabricated and then bolted on with those long bolts to do something with the rear section. Because I don't know the original very well, difficult for me to say. Yeah, and this is that, I think they thought it was an LGB part with a coupling on for that pony truck at the rear there. Just one or two things that I'm noting from underneath. But the wheels spin relatively easily. Some would say that's not necessarily a good thing because it means that you're not getting any compression in the cylinders. Well, I don't know about that. There is a lot of slop in there. Look at the amount of slop in that. So there might be room to improve things around there. And I have moved the eccentrics around. The screw in this eccentric was loose. It did allow it to do the swap round. I might loosen it off again because I'll just show you while I'm doing this lazy video. Of course, you can move it from being one side or the other side, which swaps from the phasing of your cylinder movements of your pilot valve there in relation to the cylinder movements for going forwards or backwards. Non-insulated wheels, as we know on here, and I'm not quite sure how far round that eccentric there is turned in terms of phasing on that, and that could be the timing issue. I don't know. Okay, just a quick look underneath. That looks like a replacement part that's been put on here to mount the pony truck onto. So, yeah, but something that is eminently serviceable because it's not complicated in its makeup, and you know, you've got the opportunity to bolt and screw things onto it to do those modifications. Oh, I think I might have noted it before on a previous. You can see that bracket in there, which has got mountings which will be for a servo, and you can see the holes drilled into there, which could have been for a servo arm just screwed onto there, and then you'd have a way of controlling the steam to the cylinders. And there's one tube here. Don't know whether that's from the chest, steam chest. The other one is probably above there. I'm expecting that vents into the smoke box as the exhaust from the cylinders. Well, a quick follow on. If that's the steam dome and that there is the steam regulator, then this is steam out to the cylinders. And so, yes, that's going down into the place where the pilot valve is here. And so there's other pipes coming out sideways, will go up into the steam chest, into the smoke box. It's a dummy smoke box door, as I've just found out by unscrewing the thing. I believe I've seen a modification where somebody had put a proper smoke box door onto it as an improvement. But that's once this is running nicely, might be a consideration. We'll put that back onto it again. I can see some wires there, which might probably running from the LED lights at the front. Well, the LED lights need battery. Maybe right from the outset, this is fitted with a charging socket for batteries. Don't know where else the batteries would be. Well, the gas burner is running, but the gas fill valve is leaking. So when I get this stripped down a bit, I'm going to have a look at that. The seller did think there was a leak on the gas tank somewhere. I wonder if that was what he repaired. Anyway, it's holding enough to get some gas into it, obviously, as you can hear. Let's see if we can get some steam up. No pressure yet. Pushes dropped again. Oh, took a couple of steps on its own. That's promising. There's no gas on now. Oh, maybe if I put a bit more gas on, it might actually go. Well, there was an attempt at movement. Clearly, first thing to do is to fix the gas leak, which I think may well be around the gas filler valve part of the tank. I'll see what's required there. It means a strip down, and then we might be able to get up enough pressure to do something. At the moment, it was getting up to about 15 to 20 psi as far as I can tell on that. Oh, you can't see it. Pressure meter there. Right, let's get back to the workbench and do some repairs. Well, to take the superstructure off, the cap comes off relatively straightforwardly, relatively easily. A couple of screws through that hole there, each side, seemed to be all that was holding the cap on. That goes into a tapped hole here. Not sure if there's meant to be anything else. One tapped hole there, another tapped hole the other side, and I can't see anything else particular that would hold the cab on. This part, well, two screws at the front into the under buffer beam there, and I guess there were two screws at the back at some point. They're the ones that where it slides off. It might have been the screws were tapped into these holes, or it might be that they need nuts. That's these holes at the back end there, but there were none on it, and so it just slipped off those. So there's maybe some nuts that go onto there. Right, it allows me to see two things. One is the electrical side, and what I can see is corroded batteries. I presume those are rechargeable batteries. And so I would guess the best thing for that is to take the whole battery holder out and replace it with a new battery holder. That will have been the electrics. One use for those electrics will be to light up the two LEDs on the front. I'm not less interested in that. The other thing about the electrics is they do go to this plug here, which would go into a receiver, which would then drive a servo or two for the remote control. So it's worth thinking about replacing that with a new battery holder and batteries. But the more significant thing is the tank. Now, the person I've got it from has repaired what he knew was a leak, which is there. In the process of that, it has gummed up the thread a bit because I can't get the nut on easily. I'll have to have a look at sorting that out because it holds the tank into the side tank more tightly. But the other problem I've met is this filler valve appears to be leaking. So I'm going to have to, it has been put in with PTFE tape, so it's been screwed in with PTFE tape. But I'm going to just have to check around and find out where the leaks are. See if there's what more needs to be sealed on that. Sometimes the camera catches what the eye misses. Right. That was definitely from that valve bit there. So maybe this bit is not sealing down in the valve. Found several lighters, none of which seem to have the right sort of valve. If you look down there, obviously that's your lighter refill valve, but it doesn't have that metal top with a slot in it. However, here's a lighter I found, and look, that does seem to have a metal top with a slot in it. So if I can scavenge that, I might be in luck. And of course, I may have wrecked a perfectly good lighter, but I can tell from here that the refill valve there is a different size. It's a different diameter. It's a smaller diameter, the one in this lighter. I don't even need to take it out.